Today, we're diving into a classic, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Ries and Jack Trout. This book makes a bold claim. Marketing isn't just some creative art form. Nope, it's a science, with rules as real and as unbreakable as the laws of physics. And if you break them, you do it at your own risk.
So let's start with a question that has probably driven you crazy at some point. Why do the best products, the ones with the best features, the best quality, why do they so often just fail? You build something amazing and it just doesn't sell. Well, the answer to that question is really the key to this entire explainer. All right, let's just jump right in and tackle that question head on. Our first section is all about busting a huge myth that most of us have been taught our entire lives.
You know, we're all brought up to believe that if you just build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. That success is all about having the objectively best product. But Ries and Trout say, hold on a second, that's a dangerous illusion. The real fight, they argue, isn't about what's actually the best.
Check out this perfect example. Everybody knows Charles Lindbergh, right? The first guy to fly solo across the Atlantic. But can you name the second guy to do it? Probably not. His name was Burt Hinkler. And here's the kicker. He was actually a better, more skilled pilot. But it doesn't matter. Lindbergh was first. And that's the lesson.
So if the battle isn't really about the product itself, then where is it happening? This next section gets to the absolute core idea of the entire book. And honestly, it's a total perspective shift.
And here it is, the law of perception. Marketing is not a battle of products, it's a battle of perceptions. Let that sink in. The objective truth about your product, all the specs and features, they don't matter nearly as much as what your customer believes is the truth. The only reality in marketing is the one that exists inside your customer's mind.
And that's exactly why this is so critical. Because trying to change someone's mind once it's set is one of the hardest, most expensive things you can possibly do in business. It's way easier to get in there first and shape that perception from the very beginning.
Okay, so we get it. The goal is to get inside the customer's mind. But how do you actually do that? This section is all about the first set of strategies for breaking in and making sure you stick around.
So the old playbook tells us our goal is to have a better product, but the immutable law just flips that right on its head. The goal isn't to be better, the goal is to be first in the mind. It seems like a small change in wording, but it changes your entire strategy.
This brings us to the law of leadership, and probably the most famous quote from the whole book. It's better to be first than it is to be better. Think about it. Coca-Cola, Hertz, Heinz, were they always the best? Maybe, maybe not. But they were the first ones to really stake a claim in our minds for their category.
But what if you can't be first? I mean, it happens, right? Well, the law of the category gives you this really clever workaround. If you can't be the first in an existing category, just invent a new one you can be first in. Miller Lite knew it couldn't be the first beer, so it created the first domestic light beer. Charles Schwab wasn't the first stock brokerage, so he became the first discount brokerage. You just create a new pond where you can be the big fish.
Okay, so you did it. You're in. You've made it into the customer's mind. Now what? How do you make sure you don't get kicked out? This next section is all about digging in and defending your position. This is where the law of focus comes in, and it is so powerful. The idea is to own one single, simple word in your customer's brain. You want to create a mental shortcut, so when they think of that word, they can't help but think of you.
For example, let me just say a brand name, Volvo. What's the very first word or concept that pops into your head?
I'm willing to bet for almost all of you the word was safety. For decades, Volvo has so completely owned that one idea. They sacrificed being known for speed or luxury or style, all so they could completely dominate that one crucial concept. That's focus.
Now, here's something fascinating the authors noticed, a pattern that shows up everywhere. It's the law of duality. And what it says is that over time, almost every single market boils down to a fight between the top two players. Just two.
And just think about it. You see it everywhere. Cola, it's Coke and Pepsi. Hamburgers, McDonald's and Burger King. Toothpaste, Crest and Colgate. Over and over again, the market consolidates into a two-horse race. And being number 3, well, that's a really tough place to be.
All right, so following these laws sometimes means you have to do things that feel, well, just plain wrong. They seem totally counterintuitive. Let's look at a few surprising strategies that can be incredibly powerful.
Take this legendary campaign from Avis Rental Cars. They were getting absolutely destroyed by the number one Hertz. So what did they do? The last thing you'd ever expect. They took out ads that basically said, yep, we're only number two. And it worked like magic.
This is the law of candor. See, when you admit a negative, something amazing happens. Your customer is used to being sold to, their guard is up. But the moment you admit a flaw, they see you as honest. Their defenses just drop. And once their mind is open, you can slide in and turn that negative into a powerful positive. We're number two, so we try harder. It's just brilliant.
So, let's bring this all home. After all these examples and all these rules, what's the one big thing you really need to remember? The authors are crystal clear on this. These are not the 22 nice suggestions of marketing. They are the 22 immutable laws. And their analogy is perfect. They say these laws are like the laws of physics. You can try to ignore the law of gravity, but it's probably not a good idea if you're trying to fly a plane. It's the same thing here. You ignore these laws at your own peril.
And that leaves us with a final question for you to chew on. Think about your favorite brands, or even the ones you can't stand. Which of these laws are they following perfectly? And which ones are they breaking? Once you start looking for it, you'll see these laws in action everywhere. It's a whole new lens for understanding the world of business around you.